Start digging into your family history and you could discover a treasure trove of stories. In this week's adventure of an ordinary dad, Tim Johnson shows us how he came to better appreciate his own family history.
This cemetery holds 1,000,000 stories, and the ones being added to it this day belong to my cousin Lonnie, being laid to rest as a Vietnam vet right next to his parents. Their headstones aren't too far from my grandparents and my great-grandparents. Not only did my cousin grow up here in Elsinore, Utah, but this is where my dad grew up, and his dad, and half my family tree. Now, I've visited Elsinore a couple dozen times growing up, and I've seen it mentioned 1,000 times in family history records. But there was something about this funeral that made all this family history stuff click. The answer was right in front of me. No, literally, it was right in front of me. Stories. You learn a lot at family gatherings. For instance, 2 doors down from the church that held the funeral is a place that's nowadays called the Cowboy Corral, a cool cafe where Lonnie pulled out his guitar and sung every week when he was healthy. 70 years before that, my dad ran around that same building, back when it was a drugstore, armed with a nickel that could fill his overalls with candy. Across the street from the Cowboy Corral is this building. 120 years ago, my ancestors got their picture taken on these same steps. A block away sits the old elementary school and the field where my ambidextrous grandfather pitched the Elsinore Town baseball team to glory in the 1930s. And then there's the old gas station, where my teenage dad siphoned the leftover gas from the overhead tanks in the middle of the night for the borrowed family car. Ah, what I would have given to have known that story when I was a teenager. It's the stories that help this come to life. Family history. What's your story? As a father, that funeral made me ask myself, am I doing stuff today that I want my family to be talking about when my days are done? Leave it to a funeral to breathe some life into this old man. Tim Johnson for Deseret News National Edition.